beings have something that's kind of amazing that, as far as we know, other animals don't contain. And that is that we have this ability to self-reflect. And it starts, very young. I don't know what age, one, two, I don't know. The age that we can start feeling that we are a me, and that I am not you. I'm not that, that there's this body understanding, and mind too. And it's this ability for mind to actually bend on itself and look at itself. And that creates this awareness of consciousness, self-awareness. And then, as far as we know, animals don't have that. I have a dog, and my dog is very aware. And she feels a lot of things. Very smart, very deep, very profound being. But as far as I can tell, she doesn't seem to reflect on what she's feeling. She feels, and that's that. It's just kind of like lightning in the sky, or the wind hitting the trees, or the flower being itself, and a bee going around, flower to flower. It simply is itself, intelligent, conscious, but probably not necessarily self-conscious. Okay, it's not a hierarchy thing, we're better than anything else. In fact, it causes a lot of problems. So in one way, it causes a lot of beauty, creativity and creating and writing and art and language. I mean, as far as we know, all these things that arise, so much of it is because we can self-reflect. So we have a feeling, for instance, and we think about it and go, oh, I'm feeling sad. I wonder why. And go down that kind of rabbit hole, right? Oh, the past comes in, and I remember when this happened before, and I was so whatever. Or I'm so happy. Oh my goodness, this reminds me of that time when I was with, so-and-so, and you know what I mean? And we saw a rainbow. And so we reflect, or we think, a thought, and then another thought comes about that. So a process takes place through this ability to reflect. And that process becomes so seamless and so fast that it becomes this flow of reflection. And in that flow starts to become this idea that we are separate from existence. Self-reflection makes one feel that we are an object to ourselves, and there's a me, right? And so this ability to look at ourselves creates this feeling like there is something here that feels. There's something here that thinks. There's something here that's doing all these actions, the doer. And rather than, if you didn't have that, it would just be maybe thinking is happening, feeling is taking place, and doing is happening. But we reflect on it. So I am doing comes into play. I am thinking, right? So I start to feel like I actually am a me. And there is this center to me that is an individual, right? So that's the subject object. There's an individual here. And I'm different from this tree, and I'm different from you. And I can get hurt, and I can be happy, and I can be sad. It's all very beautiful, right? But it creates this gap between ourselves and all of life. Because animals, as far as we know, and plants and trees and so on, they have their expression. They are an expression, but they don't necessarily feel, because they don't reflect, that they're a separate consciousness, that they're separate. They don't necessarily feel like and I'm disconnected and I don't feel connected to everything around me. They feel like they're one with, they don't have an I. So they feel one with everything, and we don't anymore. We've lost that. And that becomes out of this ability to think. I think, therefore I am, said Descartes. I think, therefore I am. But the thing is, what we are, we don't really know. And if we really let ourselves go through that next motion of what I am, I don't actually know, we might come to a more of a spiritual understanding that maybe thinking and feeling like a being and aming isn't the end of the story. There's also a mystery to this. And maybe this is evolutionary, to feel like an individual to a degree and also be able to reclaim our connection to the whole, right? And that's the whole spiritual journey, is being able to reconnect to feeling one with everything that has dissolved through this sense of having a separate self. Okay? And that gets illuminated, like that sense of separate self can be investigated. Is it true, really? Is just because we seem to be a separate self, seeming, and we have feelings and we have thoughts and we have a body, and my body is not your body, and so on. And animals know that too, because they don't bump into things, right? They still have a sense enough of self, but not a separate self per se. So I think we can feel this individuation without feeling the separate self that really is confusing and so damaging, right? People feel existential angst. And so many crises take place because of the separate self sense. I think that's a glitch. And that's a personal feeling I have. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. That in this biological evolutionary creation and experiment of creating human beings who are conscious and self-aware, conscious, self-conscious, that the byproduct of it is feeling disconnected from the whole. And that, I think, is sort of an explanation of what takes place and why spiritual practices that are really direct path, really good ones, help us reconnect with ourselves and kind of like question, just because it feels like there's a self here or an I or a me, is it really true? Can we come down to the essence of it and to the, break it down vibrationally? And that's a journey. And that's what they call awakening, when we realize that actually there's nothing really there. There's no real self that's separate at the center of us. They say scientifically even, right? That there's really, that everything's made of emptiness at its core, the atom and everything. Well, that's what we are too at our core. We're made of emptiness. And still, at that point, we've been conditioned in a wonderful way till we can function. So maybe that's not the glitch, but the glitch is maybe that it just takes so long to come back to truth, but we can. And then we can we can live as if there's a self here. I mean, it looks like to a lot of people that there is a self here, but truthfully, there is not in anyone. And even in someone who has realized that, they still operate and look quite normal, even with that, just having that difference of understanding.